In a moment of vulnerability, my little brother Ethan stumbled upon me, yet strangely, I felt no shame. There was an unspoken understanding between us, a shared secret that lingered in the air, suggesting that perhaps he felt the same way too. On a tranquil Tuesday evening, the world seemed to hold its breath, unaware of the storm that was about to unfold. The house lay in an unsettling stillness, a silence that felt heavier than usual. With Mom and Dad out for the night, the house fell into an eerie silence, leaving just me and my younger brother Ethan in its shadowy embrace. In our youth, he thrived on mischief, his creativity boundless as he devised the most inventive schemes to rattle my nerves. But now we found ourselves entwined in a deeper, more harmonious rhythm. Our bond deepened, and the house exuded an aura of tranquility. After a long semester, I finally stepped through the familiar door of my childhood home, the crisp autumn air wrapping around me like a warm embrace, signaling the start of fall vacation. Months had slipped away since my last visit, and the moment I stepped through the door, a torrent of memories crashed over me. My old room stood as a haunting echo of the past, its walls adorned with faded posters that whispered stories of youth. The desk, a chaotic jumble of forgotten treasures, bore the weight of memories my parents had tucked away over the years, each item a relic of a time long gone. It felt as though I was stepping into a forgotten era. The ache of longing for home enveloped me, a haunting reminder of the comfort found in familiar sights, and the symphony of everyday sounds that once cradled my spirit. As Ethan stepped into the kitchen, a palpable shift hung in the air, and I felt it wash over me like a sudden chill. Something about him was different, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to uncover a deeper story lurking beneath the surface. He had transformed, shedding the skin of the tiny, awkward child I once knew just a few years ago. He had shot up in height, his presence radiating a newfound confidence. He felt like a shadow of his former self, a stranger in his own skin. It was as if encountering a ghost from the past, a figure cloaked in shadows yet undeniably known to the depths of my soul. "What is happening?" he asked, his gaze locking onto mine as he caught me staring. Silence enveloped the space, a void where anticipation hung heavy in the air. The absence of sound was palpable, as if the world held its breath, waiting for something, anything, to break the stillness. In that moment, nothing felt like everything. A canvas of potential just waiting to be painted with the colors of fate. I responded, my head shaking in a frantic denial. "Your appearance has changed in ways that are hard to ignore." He flashed a grin, his fingers brushing against the nape of his neck, a subtle gesture that hinted at the tension beneath the surface. "It's a journey we all must take, Emily. You must experience it for yourself, just once." With a reluctant roll of my eyes, a smile crept onto my lips, betraying my true feelings. He possessed a remarkable ability to infuse every moment with a sense of levity, as if the weight of the world could never truly burden him. Yet there was an elusive quality about him that danced just out of reach, leaving me intrigued and unsettled. As the night deepened, following a hearty dinner and hours filled with laughter and stories, I finally made my way to my room, the weight of the day settling around me like a thick fog. The day stretched endlessly, filled with the weight of travel, the chaos of unpacking, and the heavy emotional toll of returning home after such a prolonged absence. All I craved was the soothing embrace of a warm shower and the promise of a peaceful night's sleep. The familiar creak of my old bed echoed in the stillness as I sank into its embrace, the mattress yielding in all the well-worn places that had cradled countless dreams. The house lay in an eerie silence, broken only by the faint rustle of Ethan, shifting in his room down the hall. I shut my eyes, letting the comforting essence of home envelop me, yet slumber eluded my grasp. Instead, my thoughts wandered freely. It felt like an eternity since I had last tasted the warmth of intimacy. Amidst the whirlwind of college life, the demands of coursework overshadowed the fleeting moments of camaraderie. Months had slipped by in silence, and as I lay there enveloped in darkness, the weight of that solitude pressed heavily upon me. I nestled deeper beneath the covers, my body a tempest of restlessness, while my thoughts spiraled into uncharted territories. As I prepared to leave, an unexpected surge of memories flooded my mind, drawing me back to Ethan. My breath hitched in my throat. I could still see him there, a figure in the kitchen, standing still from earlier that night. The fabric of his shirt clung to his chest like a second skin, his smile radiating effortless charm, and the embrace he offered enveloped me in a cocoon of warmth. At that moment, I brushed it aside, but now, alone in the quiet of my chamber, those memories surged forth, vivid and hauntingly alive. What was it that plagued me so deeply? Here stood Ethan, my younger brother, a figure woven into the fabric of my life. Despite my better judgment, he invaded my mind, and the harder I fought to push him away, the more insistent those thoughts became, wrapping around me like a relentless tide. My heart raced as I remembered the way he gazed at me when I provoked him, his eyes sparkling with a playful intensity. His voice danced in the air, low and playful, as it whispered my name with an enchanting allure. He had undergone a metamorphosis that transcended mere physical change. He exuded an undeniable aura that commanded attention, making it impossible for anyone to overlook him. As my thoughts whirled in a chaotic dance, I bit my lip, a rush of warmth flooding through my body. He pressed his back against the wall, arms folded across his chest, his eyes a mix of thoughtfulness and curiosity. I shut my eyes, surrendering to the surge of imagination, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I experienced a rush of life coursing through me. But that sensation was fleeting. Lost in the depths of my own universe, I was jolted back to reality as the door to my room swung open with a sudden force. Emily Ethan's voice sliced through the stillness, and time seemed to freeze as my heart lurched in my chest. He lingered in the doorway, fingers gripping the doorknob tightly, his eyes wide with wonder as he absorbed every detail of the scene before him. Heat surged to my cheeks as the weight of my vulnerability crashed over me, my hands hidden beneath the cover, each breath coming in ragged gasps. I lunged to sit upright, clutching the blanket around me as though it could shield me from the truth of what he had just witnessed. "What on earth, Ethan?" I shouted, my voice echoing with an intensity I hadn't meant to unleash. "Have you ever considered the power of a knock?" Little did I know, he struggled with his words. His face flushed a deep crimson, and he averted his gaze, nervously scratching the back of his neck. I found myself pondering whether he might be interested in watching a movie, or perhaps something else entirely. "Without a doubt, I'm occupied," I spoke, my voice quaking with a mix of humiliation and shame, as the clock struck 11 p.m. as Ethan slipped beneath the covers. My heart raced violently in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence, a frantic drum that felt as if it might betray men and spill my secret. I watch him mutter to himself, his gaze fixed on my linens, a blend of amusement and disbelief dancing in his voice. For a fleeting moment, his eyes locked onto mine, a silent exchange hanging in the air, before he abruptly averted his gaze. "Very well, I shall let you continue on your path." He pivoted to exit, but just as he reached for the door, I called out, "Wait!" Uncertainty gripped me as the words slipped from my lips. Maybe it was the palpable panic or the heavy tension that hung in the air between us. Before I could intervene, the words spread like wildfire, unstoppable and relentless. Ethan's hand hovered over the doorknob, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. His expression was a mask of mystery, while his cheeks burned with an unspoken intensity. I paused, my thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance, searching for the right words to mend the moment. Yet deep down, I knew I wasn't ready for him to walk away just yet. "I am truly sorry. I never intended to raise my voice." He gave a subtle nod, his gaze meeting mine for a fleeting moment before it slipped away, like a shadow in the night. "It's okay," he murmured, his voice a gentle caress in the stillness. I should have knocked, but the weight of my hesitation hung heavy in the air, a silent warning echoing in the stillness before me. We stood there in silence, the air around us heavy with unspoken words and palpable tension. The thundering pulse echoed in my ears, a relentless reminder of the tension that hung in the air. My cheeks burned with the sting of humiliation, yet beneath that familiar heat, an unsettling sensation stirred within me, elusive and enigmatic, just out of reach of my understanding. "Will you step into the shadows with me?" I asked, the words spilling forth in a torrent before I had a chance to catch my breath. Ethan's eyebrows shot up, a look of sheer astonishment washing over his face at the unexpected question. "Are you kidding me?" "Yes," I replied swiftly, though my voice trembled, betraying the uncertainty that lurked beneath the surface. "You've already made it here." He paused, heart racing, before finally crossing the threshold and shutting the door with a soft click that echoed in the silence. He pressed his back against the wall, arms folded tightly across his chest, his eyes a mix of caution and curiosity. After a moment of silence, he finally spoke up, breaking the tension in the air. "What were you doing in this place?" I let out a soft moan, tugging the blanket tightly over my head, as a rush of warmth flooded my cheeks once more. "Oh my God, can we just drop it?" Ethan chuckled, his voice a rich, soothing murmur that sent a wave of warmth through me, causing my chest to both tighten and relax in a curious dance of emotions. "Emily, I'm only teasing you." With a cautious glance, I emerged from the safety of the blanket, my eyes narrowing into a fierce glare directed at him. "Your behavior was utterly despicable." He smiled, a mischievous smirk playing on his lips, sending my heart racing in a wild rhythm. "Indeed, but your love for me remains unwavering." Silence enveloped the moment, heavy with unspoken truths, and though I held my tongue deep down, I knew he was right. With Ethan in the room, the atmosphere grew dense, wrapping around them like a shroud. He remained sprawled against the wall, arms crossed, a teasing smile playing on his lips, creating an atmosphere thick with tension that made it hard to draw a breath. His expression was a puzzle, a blend of amusement and something else, but whatever it was, it failed to ease the tension in the air. My heart raced wildly, a relentless drumbeat of humiliation echoing in my chest. I dared not meet his gaze for more than a fleeting moment, the urge to retreat beneath the blanket and vanish from existence overwhelming me. "Emily," Ethan remarked, his voice dropping to a hushed whisper. "I've stumbled upon far more shocking scenes before." I shot him a skeptical look, striving to reclaim a sense of authority. "What could possibly be more haunting than the moment you lay eyes on your sister?" He shrugged, a mischievous smirk spreading across his face. "Oh, I was completely unaware. One fateful day, I stumbled upon my dad, shirtless and oblivious, engaged in the peculiar act of clipping his nose hair. The sight was so shocking that it etched itself into my memory, leaving a scar that would never fade. A bubbling laughter escaped me, a spontaneous reaction to the moment's absurdity. It wasn't a booming laugh, but rather a surprised chuckle that escaped her lips, a fleeting sound that cut through the tension like a knife, offering a momentary reprieve from the weight of the world. Ethan's grin spread across his face, a spark of satisfaction dancing in his eyes. For a fleeting moment, the world around us faded, and it was as if we were simply two siblings lost in the comfort of each other's company, laughter echoing in the air like a distant memory of better times. The moment was free of awkwardness, devoid of unspoken tension, yet that fleeting sensation slipped away all too quickly. The silence that enveloped us was thick, almost suffocating, and I could sense his eyes boring into me, scrutinizing my every move with an intensity that made my skin crawl. My skin prickled under his gaze, as if he could penetrate the layers of my embarrassment and delve deep into the thoughts I was fighting to suppress. I cocooned myself in the blanket, seeking solace as if it could shield me from the storm brewing between us, while Ethan adopted a tone that was deceptively casual. "Whose face lingers in your mind?" My gaze shot up, locking onto him, heat flooding my cheeks. "Not a soul. I was not there." "What kind of question is that?" He shrugged once more, his expression maddeningly calm. "I urge you to delve deeper into it." It must have been someone extraordinary. It felt like a spark of recognition ignited within him as he laid eyes on Ethan. With a swift motion, I hurled a pillow at him, and he effortlessly caught it, a laugh escaping his lips that echoed in the air. "Would you kindly cease this action?" "All right, Oklahoma." He lifted his hands in a mock gesture of surrender, laughter bubbling up from within him. Yet, as the mirth faded, a shadow crossed his face, transforming his expression into one of grave intensity. "Just teasing you, Emily. There's no need to panic." With a frustrated sigh, I ran my fingers through my hair, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. "Perhaps next time you should think twice before entering my room without warning." He jotted down a note, and an uneasy silence enveloped us, stretching the moment into something heavy and charged. The silence stretched endlessly, pulling me into a trance as I gazed at him. The soft glow of my bedside lamp highlighted the sharp lines of his jaw, while his hair danced just enough to obscure his eyes, creating an air of mystery that captivated me. Once a strikingly handsome youth, he now exuded an air of maturity, his features sharpened by time and experience, radiating a newfound confidence that captivated all who crossed his path. It felt surreal, as if I was gazing upon him anew, uncovering layers I had never noticed before. "What is it that has you gazing at me like that?" Ethan's voice sliced through the haze of my thoughts, and I became acutely aware, too late, that my gaze had been fixed, unblinking. I was not. I started to speak, but he arched an eyebrow, silencing me in an instant. "Indeed you were." I let out a soft moan, burying my face deeper into the cocoon of the blanket, seeking refuge from the world outside. "Just leave me alone." "Ethan, absolutely not. Not until you unravel the mystery of what's happening. There's nothing going on." I shouted, my voice swallowed by the heavy folds of the blanket. Yet, as the words escaped my lips, a chilling realization settled within me. It was a lie. Something was unfolding around me, a mystery that eluded my grasp, defying description. His gaze pierced through the veil of my confusion, as if he could unravel the very essence of my being, leaving me even more unsettled. Ethan drew closer, his figure silhouetted against the dim light as he settled on the edge of the bed, tension crackling in the air. The mattress dipped under his weight, and my heart raced in response. I peered out from beneath the cover, and there he was, mere inches away, his face a mask of mystery. His eyes locked onto mine, probing and intense, as if he were unraveling a secret hidden deep within me. "You're acting strange," he said softly, his voice laced with concern. "What troubles you?" I halted, a tightness gripping my chest. Conflicted emotions swirled within me, and I struggled to find the right words, fearing that any misstep would paint me as angry. He had consumed my thoughts throughout the night, and even now, as we sat so near, he was the only thing occupying my mind. My voice faded, a lump forming in my throat, as I struggled to find the words. The night had unfolded in an uncanny manner. Ethan leaned in, his gaze piercing as he scrutinized me intently. It was peculiar, the way silence enveloped me, rendering me unable to reply. Silence enveloped the room, heavy and suffocating, as the words danced just out of reach. Instead, I averted my eyes, my focus locked on the blanket crumpled in my lap, silently wishing he would let it go, but he remained steadfast. He stood frozen in place, a palpable tension surrounding him, his presence an undeniable force that demanded attention. "Emily," he urged once more, his voice softening, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "It's impossible. Whisper a secret to me." His tone shattered the barrier I had been desperately trying to build. It held no taunts or judgments. His sincerity wrapped around her like a heavy cloak, infused with genuine concern that pierced through her defenses. It was as if he truly cared, and that made the struggle to keep everything bottled up even more agonizing. A shadow looms over me, and I can't quite grasp what it is that ails my spirit. I confessed, my voice barely a breath, that you occupy my thoughts in ways that defy reason. I shared my deepest thoughts. The words lingered in the air, a heavy weight that twisted my stomach into knots. It felt surreal. The words slipping from my lips, echoing in the silence around me. I steeled myself for his response, anticipating that he would retreat, dismiss it with laughter, or perhaps show anger. Yet he did none of those things. Yet he stood frozen in place, his expression a mystery, shrouded in silence. "What sort of treasures await?" he asked softly, his voice barely above a whisper. His expression remained unchanged, as if my revelation held no shock for him. My heart raced, a knot forming in my throat as forbidden thoughts swirled in my mind. I uttered the words again, my eyes fixed intently on the blanket. Uncertainty hung in the air, a palpable tension that whispered of the inexplicable. "It just happened." Ethan remained silent, the tension in the room growing, each second feeling heavier as I tried to process what was happening. Then, to my astonishment, he extended his hand. His palm lingered gently on my arm, a touch that sent shivers down my spine. The touch was gentle, but it felt like a moment of connection that resonated deeply. "Emily," he murmured, his voice a calm anchor in the storm. "It's fine." I gazed up at him, my heart pounding in my chest. He nodded, his hand lingering on my arm, a silent affirmation that sent a shiver down my spine. The words lingered in the air, thick with meaning and weighty with unspoken truths. "Indeed, it's acceptable." Ethan's voice resonated with a steady calmness, yet the gravity of his words pressed heavily against my chest, tightening like a vice. Doubt gnawed at me, twisting my thoughts. Had I truly heard him correctly? Did he genuinely mean what he said? Or was he merely attempting to dissolve the tension that hung heavy in the air between us? Yet, the intensity of his gaze, unwavering and confident, suggested that his words held a deeper truth, one that transcended mere comfort. The silence stretched between us, heavy and charged, as if the air itself held its breath. The silence hung in the air, thick with anticipation, yet it didn't feel uncomfortable. The air crackled between us, thick with unspoken words and unmade decisions, each of us poised on the edge, daring the other to shatter the silence and ignite the moment. "Ethan," I began, my voice trembling with uncertainty. "A shadow looms over me, and I can't quite grasp its source." He tilted his head ever so slightly, his piercing gaze locked onto mine, as if searching for something hidden deep within. "Do you ever wonder if something is amiss within you?" "This is anything but normal." The words spilled from my lips, unstoppable and raw, before I even realized what I was saying. "You are my little brother, the one who brings light into my life. You are my family." "I mustn't halt," he interrupted, his voice a blend of firmness and gentleness. His hand glided from my arm to my shoulders, applying a gentle squeeze that sent a shiver down my spine. "Stop, please, don't go down that path. Don't let it come across as if you're shattered or anything. You're not what you seem." I blinked, momentarily stunned by his words, but he interrupted me once more, his voice sharp and unyielding. "Emily, you're not a freak. You're something extraordinary. You're experiencing a wave of emotions, and that's perfectly all right. Could it be? Doesn't it feel wrong?" he countered, his gaze sharpening as if peering into the depths of her turmoil. "From where I stand, it seems you're wrestling with shadows of your own making, tormented by something beyond your grasp. Honestly, I believe you should reconsider." I locked eyes with him, my heart racing as his gaze bore into me, each word he uttered sending shivers down my spine. It felt as though he was reaching deep within, not merely offering solace, but weaving a connection that transcended the moment. There was something more lurking in the shadows. A hidden truth lies beneath the surface. An unfamiliar sensation gripped my chest, a relentless ache that pulsed with an intensity I couldn't comprehend. Words failed me. "What has you so worked up about this?" I inquired, my voice quaking with uncertainty. "You should be losing your mind right now." He offered a subtle shrug, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Perhaps I possess a greater ability to maintain my composure than you, Ethan, Emily." He interrupted me once more, his words slicing through the air like a knife. "Can you place your faith in me?" The question hit me like a bolt from the blue. "Without a doubt, I trust you completely. Believe me when I tell you, this doesn't need to spiral into something monumental," he whispered gently. "It's just the two of us. Only we can keep this secret. Only I need to comprehend. Only you and I remain in this moment, a world stripped bare around us." His words pierced the air, sending a chilling shiver down my spine, as an unsettling tightness gripped my chest. His voice, calm and assured, wrapped around the words like a gentle embrace, making it seem so straightforward. Yet beneath that surface lay a complexity that was anything but simple. It was a whirlwind of chaos and fear, yet in that moment, his gaze pierced through the turmoil. The warmth of his hand on my shoulder whispered a possibility. "Perhaps it didn't have to be Ethan after all," I whispered, my voice barely breaking through the silence. "What are you trying to convey?" "I'm declaring that the notion of normalcy holds no weight for me," he replied, his voice unwavering. "Your feelings matter to me, and if this is what you're experiencing, then perhaps I share that same weight in my heart." My breath hitched in my throat as I locked eyes with him, my thoughts spiraling into a whirlwind. Was there truth behind his words? Could it be that he was uttering the very words I feared he would? Uncertainty gripped me, leaving me paralyzed, unsure of how to react or what steps to take next. My heart thundered in my chest, drowning out every other sound, leaving me in a world of pulsating silence. Before I could rein in my impulse, my hand descended, grazing his with a spark of electricity. He stayed there, steady and unwavering. Instead, his fingers intertwined with mine, his touch radiating warmth and unwavering strength. The simple gesture unleashed a torrent of relief, mingling with an unnameable emotion that surged through me, enveloping me in its intensity. Uncertainty loomed over me like a dark cloud, suffocating and relentless. I felt lost, unsure of what to do next, with no clear direction in sight. The weight of indecision pressed heavily on my chest, leaving me gasping for clarity. I confessed, my voice quaking with uncertainty. Uncertainty enveloped me, a thick fog of confusion. What is this? A riddle wrapped in shadows, waiting to be unraveled. Maynard, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Yet there was a weight to his words, as if the uncertainty hung in the air between them. But maybe we don't have to know. Perhaps we can unravel this mystery side by side. His words pierced through me, a sharp ache blossoming in my chest as a burning sensation welled up in my eyes. Emotions surged within me, a tempest I couldn't quite understand. His words struck me with an intensity I couldn't comprehend, yet they resonated deep within me. I nodded slowly, my grip tightening around his hand. In that fleeting moment, time seemed to stand still, and neither of us dared to make a sound or a single move. We lingered in that moment, our hands intertwined, the stillness around us heavy, with a profound, unvoiced connection. Oh. The world around us dissolved, leaving only the two of us suspended in a moment that was both surreal and destined to be. And then, before doubt could creep in, I leaned in. The kiss lingered, gentle and uncertain, as if we were both daring to dip our toes into the depths of the unknown. His lips radiated warmth, and I sensed the subtle quiver in his hand as it enveloped mine. It was far from perfect. There was an awkwardness to it, a tension that pulsed from the unknown of our actions, yet it felt undeniably authentic. It was us, bound by fate and woven into the very fabric of destiny. As we drew apart, his gaze locked onto mine, revealing a tumultuous blend of feelings swirling within. A whirlwind of emotions surged within me. Fear clawed at my insides, hope flickered like a distant star, and a profound sense of relief washed over me, enveloping my very being. Silence enveloped us, thick and palpable, yet words were unnecessary. In that fleeting moment, the unspoken truths hung heavy in the air, etched in the intensity of our gaze, a silent conversation that transcended words. Ethan offered a fleeting smile, his fingers entwined with mine, anchoring me in the moment. It lacked the terror one might expect. A soft laugh escaped my lips, trembling yet undeniably real. "Speak for yourself," he grinned. And in that moment, for the first time all night, a flicker of hope ignited within me, whispering that maybe, just maybe, everything was about to be all right. The room felt different after that moment, as if everything around us had changed. My heart pounded fiercely in my chest, each beat echoing the chaos that had just unfolded, while my mind grappled to comprehend the whirlwind of events that had transpired. Ethan stood in silence, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. In that moment, I felt a strange disconnection, as if the familiar layers of his thoughts had suddenly become an impenetrable mystery. He stood there, serious and unyielding, not laughing, teasing, or dismissing it with a wave of his hand. He stood before me, an undeniable presence that sent a sharp pang through my chest. "Did that stir something unsettling within you?" he whispered, shattering the stillness that enveloped them. I shook my head, a lump forming in my throat, silencing the words that begged to escape. "No," you whispered, your voice barely breaking the silence. It remained silent. "Good," he said, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. the warmth of his words wrapping around us like a soft embrace. It didn't feel wrong to me either, a shared understanding hanging in the air between us, electric and alive. I breathed out unsteadily, the gravity of his words enveloping me like a heavy shroud. I had poured countless hours into convincing myself that these emotions were unnatural, something to hide away in the shadows of shame. But when he spoke those words, when he acknowledged the turmoil within me, it transformed the fear into something a little more bearable, a flicker of hope in the darkness. "What unfolds next?" I inquired, my voice barely escaping my lips, a fragile sound in the heavy silence. Ethan shrugged, his smile slipping away, replaced by a look that was softer, tinged with vulnerability. Uncertainty loomed like a shadow, wrapping around me, leaving me adrift in a sea of questions. "No, I've never done this before, Emily," he admitted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "But I believe we can tackle it one step at a time, unraveling the mystery as we move forward." His words, though simple, resonated with an immense gravity that lingered in the air. I nodded slowly, my fingers entwined with his, a silent promise hanging in the air between us. Once more, silence enveloped us, yet this time it felt light, almost electric. A wave of relief washed over us, as if the weight of unspoken tension that had lingered for ages was finally lifted, and we were stepping into a shared understanding at last. For the first time, a sense of freedom washed over me, filling my lungs with air that felt almost electric. "Are you ready to dive into this together?" After a tense minute, Ethan's voice broke the silence, laced with caution. "What shall we delve into? I've noticed you've been acting strangely lately," he said, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Let's be honest, Emily, you've been a bit odd." I let out a low groan, yanking my hand from his grasp and shielding my face with trembling fingers. "I don't know," I admitted, my voice barely escaping my lips, shrouded in uncertainty. "Everything about you has shifted, and it's driving me to the edge of sanity." "In what way does it differ?" He leaned in slightly, his voice low and filled with intrigue. My heart raced as I felt the heat rise to my cheeks, a wave of uncertainty washing over me. "You've transformed from that bothersome child I once knew." I finally spoke, my voice trembling with uncertainty. "You're confident now, so grown up, and I find myself at a loss for how to navigate this new reality." Ethan's smile grew, a spark of mischief flickering back into his eyes. "So, what you're implying is that you find me irresistible?" "Oh my God, just stop." I let out a frustrated groan, hurling a pillow in his direction. He snatched it effortlessly, laughter spilling from his lips, and that sound wrapped around my heart, tightening it in a way that was both soothing and maddening. He leaned in closer, our breaths mingling, and pressed his lips against mine once more, a fleeting yet electric connection that lingered in the air. "I'm just saying," he teased, flinging the pillow back onto the bed with a playful flick of his wrist. "Why not just say it outright instead of weaving such a dramatic tale?" "Honestly, I can't say I'm particularly excited about it," I whispered, my lips betraying me as they curled into an unwilling smile. It was as if we were caught in a playful dance, each teasing remark drawing us closer. Ethan's laughter gradually faded, replaced by a softness in his gaze that hinted at something deeper. "You don't have to feel ashamed, Emily," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "Only we remain. No one else has to know," he murmured as he slipped beneath the sheets, his voice weaving a spell that drew me in deeper. The stillness enveloped me, a serene weight pressing against my chest, stirring a deep ache within. I nodded, my throat constricted with tension. "Yes," I whispered, the words barely escaping my lips, "just us." But as I spoke, he lay beside me, his gaze piercing through the veil of secrecy, having witnessed it all. Silently, he extended his fingers toward a specific point, seamlessly picking up from where I had been abandoned. It was nothing short of extraordinary. A sensation unlike any I had ever experienced washed over me. In the heat of the moment, I found myself unable to hold back any longer. I encouraged him to take the next step, and without hesitation, he agreed. Without diving into specifics, I can tell you it was a night unlike any other. filled with wild twists and unforgettable moments. As we settled into silence, the weight of the moment hung in the air, a shared understanding dawning between us of the profound shift that had just unfolded. It was a paradox, a conflict of emotions swirling within me. On one hand, it felt utterly wrong, a shadow lurking in the corners of my mind. Yet, on the other, it ignited a fire of exhilaration, a sensation unlike anything I had ever experienced before. The remainder of the night slipped away into a haze, each moment blending into the next, leaving only shadows of what had transpired. A palpable change had woven itself into the fabric of our connection. The tension lingered, yet it felt lighter, almost palpable in the air. Ethan lingered in my room, perched on the edge of the bed, as we delved into a conversation that danced between the profound and the trivial. The air was thick with nostalgia, reminiscent of our childhood nights spent in hushed tones, sharing secrets beneath the blanket of darkness. As he stepped away to retreat into his own space, a wave of relief washed over me, yet an unsettling emptiness lingered in the air. I reclined on the bed, my gaze fixed on the ceiling, as a whirlwind of thoughts about him surged through my mind. The intensity of his kiss lingered on my lips, his hand enveloping mine with a warmth that sent shivers down my spine. The way he gazed at me, as if I were the very center of his universe, left me breathless and yearning for more. The weight of the night pressed heavily upon me, yet the dawn brought with it an undeniable sound, footsteps echoing in the hallway, drawing me from my restless slumber. For a fleeting instant, I believed it was our parents returning, but then reality crashed in. I recalled they were away for the weekend. It was only Ethan and me, alone in the vast expanse of uncertainty. I slipped out of bed and descended the stairs, my heart pounding with anticipation at the thought of encountering him once more. Uncertainty loomed over me, shrouding my thoughts in a haze of anticipation. As I stepped into the kitchen, a wave of uncertainty washed over me. There he was, seated at the table, a bowl of cereal in front of him, exuding an air of normalcy that felt almost surreal, unremarkably ordinary. "Morning," he said, his grin cutting through the dawn like a beacon. "Did you find rest in the embrace of slumber?" With a slight hesitation, I reached for a mug, the warm ceramic cool against my fingertips as I poured the rich, dark coffee, its aroma swirling around me like a comforting embrace. "You like a baby," he said, his tone betraying him. But as I settled into my seat across from him, I noticed the way his gaze held on to me, just a heartbeat longer than necessary, the subtle shift in his smile that hinted at something deeper. Once more, a wave of pressure gripped my chest, tightening its hold with an intensity that was almost suffocating. Breakfast unfolded in a hushed atmosphere, punctuated only by the soft clink of spoons meeting bowls, each sound echoing in the stillness. His gaze was a palpable weight, pressing down on me, making it nearly impossible to concentrate on anything beyond the intensity of his stare. The events of the night before echoed relentlessly in my mind, each moment vivid and haunting. The moment lingered in the air, charged with unspoken understanding. "Just us, Emily," he murmured, shattering the stillness that enveloped them. I glanced upward, my heart racing at the weight of his words. "Are you all right?" "Yeah," I replied swiftly, though my voice trembled with uncertainty. What reason could there possibly be for me not to be? He tilted his head, his gaze piercing as he studied me intently. Last night had been overwhelming, and I needed to know if he was as unsettled as I was. Tea, are you craving?" I spoke, my cheeks aflame with embarrassment, and he nodded in response, yet I could sense the doubt lingering in his eyes. "If that is your wish." The rest of the day unfolded without a hitch, yet an undercurrent of tension simmered between us, ready to erupt at any moment. Every glance, every accidental brush of our hands crackled with tension, as if the air around us was charged, anticipating an inevitable spark. An unsettling feeling gnawed at me, a premonition of something looming on the horizon. When it finally emerged from the shadows, I found myself utterly unready for its arrival. As the day wore on, the atmosphere thickened around us, each fleeting interaction charged with unspoken tension. A shiver coursed through me with every glance Ethan cast my way, every word that slipped from his lips. Even as we sat in the same room, an electric tension crackled in the air, like dark clouds gathering ominously on the horizon. I could feel it. The impending chaos was just waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. As dusk settled, an eerie stillness enveloped the home. Once more, our parents had reached out, their voices echoing through the phone, announcing they would be spending yet another night at Grandma's. This left Ethan and me in the thick of solitude, the air around us charged with unspoken possibilities. After supper, he ascended to his room, leaving me alone on the couch, the soft glow of the TV flickering quietly in the background. I struggled to focus on the flickering screen, but my thoughts drifted, replaying the haunting moments of the night before. The intensity of his kiss lingered in the air, and the way he gazed at me afterward sent shivers down my spine, as if I were not just his sister, but something far deeper, something forbidden. The experience was a thrilling blend of terror and excitement. Lost in the depths of my thoughts, I failed to notice the call to return downstairs. As he settled beside me, a jolt of surprise coursed through me, his sudden appearance catching me off guard. Apologies slipped from his lips, a hint of a smile dancing at the corners as he spoke. I never intended to send a shiver down your spine. It's all right, I said swiftly, though my heart thundered in my chest. For a moment, we lingered in silence, the flickering light of the TV painting shadows across the room. Silence enveloped us, thick and palpable, as Ethan held his tongue, and I followed suit. The air crackled with unspoken words, a tension that hung heavily between us. A shiver ran down my spine as I sensed his gaze lingering on me from the shadows, igniting a prickling tension across my skin. Emily, he whispered, his voice slicing through the stillness like a knife. May we converse? I pivoted to confront him, my heart tightening at the weight of his words. What will become of us? He inquired, his eyes locked onto the shadows of the previous night. A wave of unease washed over me, twisting my stomach into knots. Uncertainty gripped me as I faced the moment, yet I found myself nodding, a silent agreement to plunge into the depths of what lay ahead. He hesitated, his fingers tangling in his hair as he searched for the right words. All day long, he pondered, wrestling with the events that unfolded and the weight they carried. I asked, my voice barely a whisper, and I sensed him falter, a faint blush creeping across his cheeks. I can't shake the feeling that I should acknowledge what just transpired. His words struck me like a lightning bolt. My heart raced as I stole a glance at him. You don't need to. He shook his head, his eyes meeting mine with a strong gaze. No, Emily, he said, his voice steady, because it didn't feel wrong. His words resonated deeply, sending a sharp pang through my chest. I parted my lips, ready to respond, yet silence enveloped me, leaving no words to escape. Words eluded me, slipping through my fingers like sand, as I grappled with the whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. His gaze was fixed on me, intense and unwavering, as if I were the sole focus of his world. The weight of it threatened to break me, stirring a deep well of emotion that made tears prick at the corners of my eyes. A chill runs down my spine, a sense of dread creeping into my thoughts. I finally confessed to Ethan, my voice trembling with uncertainty. Everything feels unfamiliar, and uncertainty grips me as I stand at this crossroads, unsure of the path ahead. You don't need to know, he murmured softly, his voice barely a whisper, as if the very words held a weight too heavy to bear. Together, we will unravel this mystery. As his hand grazed mine, an electric thrill coursed through me, igniting a fire that danced along my spine. I glanced at our intertwined hands before meeting his gaze. My throat constricted, and I breathed out a whisper. Are you certain about this? My voice barely broke through the silence. I've never felt more certain about anything, he replied, his voice unwavering, a calm resolve radiating from him. Emily, my feelings for you run deeper than I ever intended, and I can no longer ignore the feelings that have surfaced. His words crashed over me like a tidal wave, and before I could regain my composure, I found myself leaning in, narrowing the space that separated us. The kiss began as a gentle whisper, tentative and unsure, but soon it transformed into a fervent embrace, unleashing a torrent of emotions I had long kept buried within me. His hands gripped my shoulders, drawing me nearer, and an unfamiliar emotion surged within me, causing my heart to swell. As we finally drew apart, lying side by side on the couch with the TV's soft glow flickering in the background, a realization washed over me. What we shared was anything but ordinary. What we shared was anything but ordinary. It was a secret that eluded the understanding of others, yet it belonged to us. And for now, that was all that mattered. That was more than enough. Though my story may seem peculiar to some, I find solace in the opportunity to share it, weaving my experiences into the fabric of your imagination. A wave of regret crashes over me, drowning my thoughts in a sea of remorse for my actions. Should I dare to unveil my thoughts in the comments?